pena, con muchas cosas buenas. We're gonna dive in and meet some shameless personalities.
We're rolling. Heck yeah. Michael, Julian, we're rolling.
Hello.
Wowie. I wasn't ready, but yes, I was.
Yes.
How's it going, Michael?
It's going good. You know, staying busy.
I know. I mean, this is quite interesting. This time you're talking to us instead of listening to us because he's been nice and at work. We've put him to work.
Yes, he's very patient.
I mean, he's been very good too. He's been live mixing all of our podcasts when we record them. How do you do that, Michael?
Magic and drugs.
That's what I thought.
That's my secret.
That's really the only secret to life is what I've found.
Magic and drugs.
Magic and drugs. That's why he called it Magic City Casino. Just kidding.
Magic City Media. It makes sense.
Magic
100%,
City
100%.
Media Co. Talking about Magic City Media Co. Talk to us about that.
Yeah.
We enjoy it. We've seen many things. Well, we were watching Rubenology, which we would love to get into that later on. But talk to us about Magic City Media. What made you decide to do it? You did start it in the pandemic, basically. Or not in the pandemic, but that's really where the wheels took off.
Yeah, the pandemic definitely kind of forced our hand in terms of getting this company off the ground.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I mean, I've been doing theater since I was like 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been doing like theater semi-professionally since I was about 15.
Oh, wow.
So really MCM, excuse me, kind of started as a way to itemize a lot of the freelance work I was doing later on, and kind of pursue my own artistic endeavors, if we want to call things like Talking Shots artistic.
I mean, it's pretty hard. There's a lot of information in those episodes.
Hey, that's a whole essay. Okay.
Artistry is
semi-informal,
perspective.
educational.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
That's the best way to learn, I think. You just talk regular.
I mean, do you ever see Drunk History? Come on, they're just talking there, but it's historical. It's informative.
Yeah, it's educational. It's good for your kids.
Yeah, so that's why you just keep on drinking, Michael. Just keep on drinking and talking. Fine.
But yeah, so it was kind of a good way to itemize like a lot of the work I was doing, and then some of the artistic stuff I was doing on the side. And then, as we all know, March 2020 happened, and I was laid off, as many other people working in this industry were. And I had approached Karen, who I'd known since high school, and even before the pandemic, I had pitched to her because she had this movie that she'd been writing, and nobody had really picked it up. She hadn't really shopped it around to producers, so I was like, "Look, if you can't find someone to produce this by, say, January, let's do it. Let's throw some money at it and make a movie." And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, great, guess we're making a movie. So.
All right.
That's rock and roll.
Wait, you still made the movie through the pandemic?
Yes. So I was laid off. I mean, the good thing too, funny enough, the timing was perfect because we were already in pre-production around January, February.
Okay.
So we were planning to do this anyway. And then the pandemic hit, and a lot of people were out of work. So this movie was kind of a good way to keep people working as well. Mm-hmm. So that was the big thing for me, was just making sure people had jobs. Because it was like one day to the next, everybody was out of work. True. So for me, it was like, well, let's keep some kind of ball rolling here.
And you're like a one-man guy, one-man show kind of thing when it comes to Magic City Media. Like
you do everything.
All the stuffs.
For the most part. I mean, as far as the back-end production stuff and the management, it's mostly me right now. We do have a crew of 5 or 6 people, depending on.
Yeah, but when it comes to managing and bringing people on, I mean, I could imagine that during that time where you saw a lot of your friends lose jobs, it's like so important to create those jobs. So kudos to you, because it was hard. Lots of people were losing jobs. I know in Second City, which is a great place, but a lot of the wait staff there, I think after 2 weeks, all let go. Every single one of them. And they're all actors. They're all performers. And to then just be told like, oh, well, not anymore. And that was already your struggling job. So now you're just really struggling. So it's awesome that you create those opportunities for people all the time.
Yeah, you take care of your fellow artists.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you definitely have to. It's especially having been there, it sucks to kind of know that you're indefinitely going to be out of work for what was supposed to be 2 weeks, turning into what is
yeah,
this?
yeah.
Yeah.
That 2 weeks was really, I did not like it. It toyed with my emotions. It played with me. And I remember telling a lot of my friends, like, hey, see you in 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, it's just going to be 2 weeks. And then 90 days later was when I saw most of them again.
From a very far distance.
Yeah, I think it was about week 4 that I was like, I have a feeling this is going to last a little longer than initially anticipated.
I don't know when was the moment I realized, like, oh, this is not going away. But I just really kept on. I don't know. I was a hopeless romantic when it came to this thing. I'm like, oh, it's going to work out. It's going to be gone. Never. It's okay. You said you did theater until you were 4, or since you were 4?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a little private school back in the day. I went to Gateway Christian. Shouts out to them.
Private school.
They're not a
boy.
school anymore. But when I was going, they were a school. So I did like the little manger. I was a shepherd a couple times. The biggest thing we did Annie. And I was Daddy Warbucks.
How old were you?
I was 8.
You were in. Oh my God. That melted my heart.
They put me in a little ball cap, and it was the worst experience, but I did it.
So you're a musical man, aren't you?
Once upon a time, yes, I was a musical man.
What's your favorite like play or musical?
That's a hard question. I have a soft spot for like shows that I've done, obviously, because I think like when you do a show, you fall in love with it that much more.
Definitely.
So like, Wedding Singer's up there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that would be. I wish I could have been in that show, or would have been, or have never.
It's a fun one, man. And
What was the
I was
best
George in that one, believe it or not.
Excuse me.
Full drag. I had the wig and everything. It was a fun time.
You said drag, my friend. Wow. Was that your only time in drag? Have you done that? Dabbled in it?
I don't think so.
All right.
Probably.
I have a question.
It's one of those things that it's like, when you work at a theater, people are going to throw everything on you.
Oh,
at some point. It's like,
yeah.
hey, wear this, Mike. And next thing you know, you're wearing a dress. And
Yeah, there
You
was a
gotta be ready
show
for it.
Aaron was in junior year that did not even have any drag queens at all. And then the director was just like, guess what? We're going to have 3 singing drag queens in it. Why? Because I want to. And he just made these 3 people dress in drag for nothing. I mean, not for nothing.
It's never for nothing.
That's what it is.
It's
it
always
never
for a good
is
reason,
for
no matter
nothing.
what that reason is.
Yeah, it's true.
There's
for
some
sure.
vision. Sometimes you can't see it, but it's there.
Yeah. Is there, what was if you remember, what was like the play or musical that like made you want to do this? Like that you were like, I love this. I know you've been doing it a long time, but.
That's a really hard one. I mean, I've had moments that remind me. Because ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to be an actor and make movies and do all that stuff. And, obviously when you're in school, like there's no film program at your elementary school. So the closest thing you can get is like your drama club. But I've had moments like for us, like we remember the States Festival, stuff like that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I just remember watching productions, like really solid productions of like All My Sons. What's that other one? Glass Menagerie, which is one that I've seen a million times. But I saw one production. I forgot what high school did it, but it was really
At
solid.
States?
At States.
Oh, we
remember
watched it
that.
together. We went. What year was it?
I don't remember.
We were for sure there.
It was
at
between
the same
2011 and 2014.
Well,
so.
yeah, 100%. We watched the glass.
I've seen that show every year at districts before it went to States, and then like
Okay,
every
but
year at
if
States
you
someone was
watched it
doing
at States and we watched it at States, that means we the word. We watched it at States together. That's insane. Could you?
Little did we know, wow, we're going to be doing this thing together. This really
Yeah.
fun art together.
It's a small world, man.
That's what I was
Like every
gonna
time I talk to you, it's like, hey, do you know this person? And I'm like, yeah. Like,
I actually do.
How? Every time I add people on Instagram, whenever I see their mutual friends, and there's just some random people, I'm like, what? You know this person? How? What? And then, you create friendship that way. But wow, what was I about to ask him something, and it blew my mind.
About talking shots?
We can talk about talking shots. That's a great topic. Would you like to ask him?
Well, I have a little bit of a fun one. Is there a filming, like when you were doing an episode, was there one that you did that it was so hard because like to film because you were laughing so hard?
Oh, that is.
I don't know about laughing so hard. I had a couple. I did one on Gundam Wing. This was early on, back when we had like a green screen at a front studio, and we were shooting on like whatever camera we can get a hold of. And Drunk Mike is interesting because he's definitely not as articulate. Although, to be fair, sober Mike's not very articulate either. But
So you are on Talking Shots. You are like drinking.
Oh,
like
yeah, we don't fake it.
hardcore.
Oh, I like
it's
that.
It's not about. I knew that it was hardcore drinking, but like, or not hardcore drinking. I knew it was drinking. Didn't know if it was hardcore drinking or not. So you're going in.
Yeah. I mean, and to be clear, it's not like we're doing one topic that we're getting like totally destroyed for. It's more of a we'll meet and we'll do. Well, now it's just me, but back then especially, me and my partner Wilkie, we would meet and like knock out 4 or 5 episodes. So by the time you get to the 5th episode, you're already like wasted.
How did Talking Shots become a thing? Like, what made you think, hey, I'm gonna do this now? This sounds fun.
Talking Shots, believe it or not, started off as something much more sophisticated. So my partner Wilkie is somebody, again, another person I've known since high school. He's a journalist, and we had his original idea was to do sort of these like drunk interviews, not so much drunk interviews, but the idea would be like he would interview local artists, local rappers, local people from, like the esports community and stuff like that. And for every question, they would take a shot. Because the idea is you start off with the easy questions, and then as people loosen up, you ask, the juicy stuff.
Every question. How many questions are in a show?
Jesus. I mean, when we first started and we had a couple interviews lined up, we would shoot for like 2 hours.
It's also your inflection, like you have like beautiful patterns, like
Thank you.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. So it's like music, like ba ba da ba ba ba. Like it's.
I've been perfecting my drunk technique for a long time now, so
Very
I'm glad
good at
Drunk
it.
Mike is somewhat coherent.
No, Drunk Mike is. I like Drunk Mike. I mean, I've actually never met Drunk Mike. I feel
He's a
like.
monster.
I've
He's
met
the worst. I hate him.
half. Not drunk, but I met because you drove, so I knew you weren't in the beginning.
I knew you weren't.
I knew you weren't. I knew it.
I knew he's a fraud.
I mean, I don't know, because we usually, we've worked together, but I don't think in the colony we ever, because you know how after the shows they sometimes do a little brindis and stuff. And,
Oh yeah, stuff like that. But that's just like little.
okay,
like
so you don't get
champagne.
drunk there.
No, at most you've seen me flustered and sweaty and gross.
Where do you
but-
get drunk?
Where do I get drunk?
Yeah, like what?
Like,
what
do I
is-
have a spot that I frequent where I just get drunk?
In your house, is there like a specific corner? A specific,
What are the circumstances? Like what, in Talking Shots, you do. Do you only get drunk for Talking Shots, or do you get drunk for other things too?
Oh, this pandemic has opened up many, many possibilities to get drunk, but honestly, recently it's been mostly for Talking Shots. It's literally been, well, I guess my job, because I really don't drink that much, believe it or not, if you could believe that.
I mean,
No, I think it's just for the show, like talking. I don't know. That's
no,
your whole
we
thing.
do, but he's a fraud if you think about it. He has a show called Talking Shots.
Canceled. Mike Dangerous is not an actual alcoholic.
The man only knows how talking.
Exposed.
That's all it is.
It's more talking than it is shots.
But it's okay. It's still good talking. So listen to Talking Shots.
Your words, they shoot out at like confetti rockets.
The words, the good words.
Yes.
Important words, big words, small words.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How is your? I heard you say that you do like 4 or 5 episodes. How's your pre-production? What is like? How do you go about it?
In the beginning, we weren't as organized. We would just have a couple topics written, and then we would, come in once or twice a month and then just knock out what we had written. As the show went on, though, because it was a small group of us. It was myself, it was Wilkie, sort of the 2 co-hosts and writers. And we also had my friend Iro and his wife, Nay, who would basically be like on set production, essentially, because someone has to be sober. So, so.
Good. Not as fun, I'm going to be honest, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, thank God they like me, because I can't imagine dealing with Drunk Mike on set and stuff.
Ooh, that would be an experience, though. I don't know. I feel like drunk anybody is always an experience.
It is.
And especially when you're drunk around people that you're actually not that close to, but for that night, you are close to
Your
them.
family that night.
Like I remember going to the bathroom with a girl, and at that moment we were closer than cherry pie. Like,
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of talking shots. The idea is, getting comfortable.
Right.
You know, like the whole idea behind talking shots is starting a conversation. It's like, when you're drunk at a party, and the icebreaker conversation is never like, hey, so how's the weather? The weather's great out, isn't it? No, it's always like something ridiculous, like, oh, which one's your favorite Sailor Scout? And then next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by, and you've bonded with somebody over Sailor Moon. So.
yeah. Have you always been that kind of comfortable, gonna talk about anything, whatever comes into my mouth is gonna be said person?
Not really. I grew up very shy. Didn't really talk to a whole lot of people. In high school, as I became a theater tween, I got more obnoxious, but...
Oh God, those theater people.
I don't know if it's obnoxious, but I think it's very passionate. That's what I think it is.
I mean, that's what theater is. That's what artist is. Passion, maybe just putting that passion into Magic City Media.
Except when you're singing, where was it that you would go
Oh my
after cast
God.
parties?
We did it was my sophomore year in high school. Actually, no, my freshman year in high school. I'll never forget this. The big musical we did was Les Mis.
Ooh.
And we were that group that would show up.
And
And just be those kids. The world was quite literally our stage. And so we went into an IHOP, and the minute the manager saw us, he was just like, nope.
Oh no.
And in protest, we thought it would be a brilliant idea to sing Do You Hear the People Sing?
oh my God.
In the IHOP that just told you.
In the
to get
IHOP at midnight, in protest, we waved menus around like flags, and we thought we were the coolest kids.
It's because theater people, we just think we're little revolutionaries. Which we are.
The kicker was we left, and we were like, feeling good. So we were going to go to Flanagan's, only to find out that the owner of the IHOP had called Flanagan's to warn them about us.
Oh my God. How would they even know? Oh
You
no,
were
it's 'cause-
famous. You were famous.
I mean, we're also
For
a
those
group
5
of
minutes.
25 theater kids in full stage makeup, so
I mean, yeah, that's very true.
we weren't exactly,
Incognito.
incognito. We were quite easy to spot.
Yeah, you're playing these French people. Yeah, Jean Valjean, poor people. No. We used to go to Casola's. That was our spot.
Cazola's.
Have you gone to?
Cazola's is amazing.
I live right there, literally so close. Let me not say that too loud so people won't figure out where I live.
It's not
Dox
so
yourself.
close.
It's not too close.
Yeah, let's just be clear.
Cazola's who? I don't know what that is.
Casola's.
It's my brother.
No, I love Casola's. Their pizzas are massive. But the grease, what I used to do is I used to actually fold the pizza in half, and I would put a cup.
And you just drain the grease out.
Me
into
and
the
my
cup?
brother would see like how much grease would come out. We were curious, and sometimes we would dare each other to drink it. What? Maybe that was a little too much. But it's
You just
okay.
inspired a ton of teens on TikTok. I promise you.
Oh, I hope so.
You're gonna
I
see a
hope
lot
this
of TikToks
works.
of kids just dunking the pizza grease into a cup and chugging it.
Yes. You just
the
made
diabetes 2 TikTok challenge.
You just made a trend.
Yeah,
Right here, right now.
Go ahead, go clog those arteries, honey.
There have been less healthy trends. Let's be honest.
Okay, the Tide Pod challenge.
Tide Pod challenge.
Which was truly thinking about it, like, why did anybody think? Actually, no, I can't say that because they look really good.
Didn't Tide actually release, didn't they start putting it on their packages? Like,
don't eat
do
it.
not eat this.
Of course.
They got
Because
to.
whenever something dumb happens, that's when you get a dumb sign saying, don't do this dumb thing. It's really effective.
I love it. This is the world we live in.
So how many films have you actually done with Magic City Media and without Magic City Media? And which one was your favorite?
As far as larger film style projects, we've done Laconic, our short, and we did Rubinology, which Rubinology is more of like an episodic online content.
So happy you brought that up.
Sorry. What were you finishing?
No, I was just going to say most of what we have been doing lately is just online content, more of the short form stuff. So I don't know if I should say film work really, because I've really only worked on with MCM only the one.
Which was
but-
Karen?
Which was Laconic, yeah.
Yeah, laconic. Rubinology. Wow.
Yeah.
What a man. What a guy, Ruben Rabasa. And you got to work with him and just see him see him be himself. What was that like? What was your response when they said, hey, let's do this? Yeah. I don't even know.
Well, here's the thing. Ruben and I actually became friends because we were doing a show called The Cubans at the Colony Theater. And because I was an audio engineer at the time, and he was like, "Oye, Michael, like, can you? I have I have a sound system that I need to set up. Can you set up the sound system for me? And I was like, yeah, sure, Ruben, sure. And at that point, like, he had not said a word to me. He would just say, hey, gracias. Like, it was just 4 weeks of just like, okay, gracias. Like, you know, in that very like dry, like just old man voice that he does. And so he gives me his number. He calls me. I go over. I set up his little like AV receiver, whatever. And then next week he calls me back for something else. You know, I set up phone for him. Fix his Wi-Fi. Just once a week doing little odd jobs
so
for him.
Cute. You're like his little IT guy.
Yeah, basically.
Michael, necesito ayuda aquí. Wow, I love it. I want an IT man.
It's nice. It's very chill because he lives by himself like a bachelor in this penthouse in South Beach.
Oh, okay.
So it's like we
Ruben
just go, we
Mabasa.
chill, drink some wine, you know. He tells me stories because he has an incredibly long career.
I mean,
So,
yes. Dude, Ruben, well, I always forget the name of the sketch show.
I think you should leave.
I think you should leave,
Yeah.
of course. Jesus Christ. And Aaron and I were just saying this, that like we've never met the man, and yet we love him and would do anything for him.
He's a sweetheart too, man. He's somebody who loves what he does to a T, and he's gonna work until he can't work no more.
Yeah.
Like, just loves making movies, loves being on set.
Creating.
Like, yeah, he loves the work. Like, it's his life. If there's anybody who's the definition of seeing pena, it's Ruben Mabasa.
Oh, absolutely. And
true.
maybe one day. I love that man.
This man knows how to party.
Have you gone to a party with Ruben Mabasa?
Ruben and I, dude, we... it was one of the closing parties for the Cubans. There was I forgot what the place was called. It was a little bar club that was closing on South Beach. And, you know, there was a few of us. It was people who had seen the show and just people out on the street. And we're all walking down. We're all dressed up. You know, we're all looking cute. And Ruben's wearing his usual Ruben attire, you know, and we're in line to get in this club. And one after the other, people just come up to Ruben and they're like, hey, you're that guy. I saw you. Like, just fangirling over Ruben Mabasa.
I mean, who wouldn't want it?
I know.
Right?
Like, like this man's following is insane. So we get inside the club, and you know, whatever, we're drinking, we're dancing, we're doing whatever. And Ruben, he takes a seat. He has a beer in his hand. He's on his phone, whatever. And then this girl, this younger girl, just comes up and starts twerking in the man's face.
Oh my
In
God.
Ruben Mabasa.
In Ruben Mabasa's
God.
face, and he looks up not bothered. This is just another day at the office for him. He is just like, he is not phased.
He probably looks at her and he's like, you weren't supposed to come until 2.
He's used to it. He's used to the attention. He's a rock star. The
He
man's
is.
a rock
No,
star.
he really, and you see that because we went to go see Amparo and we weren't even in his line or in his row, but you felt him and you knew he was there and you saw him. His presence, anytime you walk into a room, is known. And that's an artist right there.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to have a show yourself like that? Like mycology?
I don't think I'm that interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think well, also, Ruben has, 60 years on me, so he has much more of a story to tell. My story would be pretty short. It would just be, drop out of college and then get drunk and cry on the internet for 2 hours, so...
Yeah. Oh, random question. In the beginning, in the intro song, is that you by any chance?
Rapping? Like for talking shots, you're saying?
Oh, yes, and also for Rubenology, because in Rubenology in the beginning we heard like a like behind like him singing.
Yes, that is in fact my voice,
Yes, I knew it.
layered, overdubbed.
Oh, 100%.
Cool.
We heard that.
Another
For
question:
sure.
were you the camera cutout? Was that you?
The camera cut out.
There's a camera cutout, and it's
Oh, the director?
yes.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Oh my goodness.
We'll never know.
I was like, I know those shoes. I know those legs.
Man.
I think I do.
But I could also imagine a show like Rubenology had a lot of pre-production because was that not filmed during the pandemic?
It was, and moreover, Ruben is a Screen Actors Guild actor. So
Oh, so
it was even more imperative. I mean, it was in general because Ruben's already a high-risk individual, but with SAG there were certain guidelines we had to adhere to. Like we had to hire a COVID officer, somebody who was certified. We had to make sure he couldn't work X amount of hours a day, and we had to make sure there was protocol for meals and all that. So it was a lot of
Just thought of something.
it was a lot of just making sure everything was set before we set foot, in his apartment, essentially, to film this,
True.
short film, basically.
No,
So.
and I love that like every episode was like different, like a different style a little bit. And I saw like the third one was like film noir. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
love the
that's-
candy cigarette.
That's all Vicky, Vane, and Robbie Ramos. They are brilliant, and they really know not only how to tell a story in a way that's interesting, but in a way that, as funny as it is, it still leaves you with something. You
Yeah.
know, it's a story that stays with you.
Definitely.
So
Definitely. Oh, he's a what's it called? Like he has a gravitas.
gravity.
I hope so.
He transcends time. He does not obey the laws of physics. He is not of this earth.
Oh, that is true. I will say though, speaking of doing this in the pandemic, it was so like cool how you guys included like him talking to someone else, but you like took advantage of a puppet, a Charlie Chaplin puppet, or like a little bobblehead of John Wayne. Like I love that you took advantage of that, and the little the Siri. I don't.
Cipriano.
Yes.
Cipriana and Orestes, his
Yes.
best friend.
It's very, very
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, a lot of it we were confined essentially to his apartment. So it was the idea was how can we tell his story with things he had around his house. So like, I mean, there's a part where he's driving and it's just like a cardboard cutout, like in front of a green screen, like.
I thought it was like fun because it made me feel like yes, like it's a beautiful like filmed and scripted thing, and it's also like oh my god, I could do this at home too. Like I could do this too. It was amazing like that.
You absolutely could. You absolutely could, and I hope more people get that from this as well. Is that if you want to make a movie, just do it.
I think people don't realize how many things they have in their disposal that they can use to create and make things.
Taking advantage of the space. I mean, we are stuck in our homes, so it is kind of.
True, but even like here, like we didn't have a really studio to record this, and even with us, we were trying to get our brains together, and we kind of tinkered and figured it out with the things we had in this theater. Like we put a curtain above this, we put the Main Street, whatever this thing is called, about this. Like a lot of people are trying to figure it out now in their homes.
Yeah, you make do with what you have. I mean,
Exactly.
And I'm very fortunate because I went to Felix Varela, and at the time, I don't know if you guys know Ray Bodie and Ozzy Quintana.
Jeff Quintana is the
Jeff
one that
Quintana
I
is the one you
do.
know, definitely, for
Yes,
sure.
For sure, no.
But yeah, his brother Ozzy was my teacher, and Varela was never a magnet. So, we had to make do with what we had. Like if we wanted to do shows, we had to raise the money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we did a show called I Kill Giants based off a graphic novel. It's about this little girl dealing with trauma through her imagination, essentially. She's really into Dungeons and Dragons. She's really into like fantasy and stuff like that. And at the end of the show, essentially, she fights this giant. There's more to it than that. I don't want to
Yeah,
spoil
yeah.
it, but she fights a giant. And so the way we staged that, obviously a bunch of 18-year-olds, like we don't have money. So we got creative and we basically just made a giant styrofoam puppet on the end of sticks that we painted with glow paint. And we rolled
works.
out some black lights, flipped them on, and boom, there you go. You have essentially a reverse shadow puppet show.
Wow.
So-
I mean, again, you have so many things. Like, it's just about getting creative. Like, I feel my mom is that kind of person that she can see something and see like 20 other different things from that. Like, this one French fry can also be a Q-tip. Never mind. Never use that. But it's true. You're a big You're a big anime guy.
I frequent anime sometimes, yes.
Frequent?
I wouldn't call myself the biggest anime
Yeah, maybe not a big
expert,
anime
but
guy.
but I definitely do frequent Funimation and Crunchyroll and Kiss Anime when I'm feeling naughty.
Yeah,
Kiss anime. That's where I saw all of Steven Universe when I didn't have a way, and I was craving Steven Universe.
Disclaimer: do not pirate anime, kids. Just saying, I do not condone anime piracy,
Do you have a
but
bad experience? What happened?
it's illegal.
Oh, yeah,
You know
that's
what?
true.
That's a bad
Piracy.
experience.
I mean, did you have LimeWire?
I did have LimeWire.
I did too.
Yeah. How many Oh my God, what are they called? Infections? Viruses. How many viruses did you get on your computer for that?
I definitely killed a couple PCs back in my day.
Yeah.
Definitely killed a couple Windows XP machines.
I think my favorite part of LimeWire was when you would get a song and you thought like, yeah, the song's great. And then 3/4 into the song, it's like, listen to my DJ mix. Go, 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 baby. Like, what the heck?
It was the Wild West back then. It really was a lawless time.
Yeah, and I was very scared that I was going to get a knock or they were going to come to school and be like, let's go. Everyone who did LimeWire in the van.
You saw like at the movie theater, you had those like pre-trailer commercials that was like, you wouldn't download a car. Like,
oh my God.
I was like, first of all, if I could, I would.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like you're telling me you wouldn't, like I can't. That's another option. If I could, please. That's the same thing with
Although
anything.
now with
People
3D
jailbreak-
printing, you practically could download a car. So look at that.
There was a man who 3D printed his retainers.
Dream big, man.
Yeah, you can really do. You can do anything in this world.
It's true.
You just have to figure it out.
That's true.
Tell us a moment that you said to yourself, I don't need to listen to anybody else's BS but my own. What was the moment? What happened? And what brought you out of that moment and realize, who do you think you are? Did that make sense?
Is this the part where I talk shit? No, I mean, I mean, like I said, I've been doing technical theater professionally for a little over 10 years. So it got to a point where I was like, I want to focus on my own work and do my own thing. And like I said, after the pandemic and I was laid off, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to do so. And as we know, theater is not the highest paying thing, especially if you're non-union. So I wanted to go into something a little bit more sustainable, but also something where I had a little bit more control,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you prefer theater over kind of mixed media? Because I feel like you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, I really don't have a favorite. Like, I think every medium has its own use, and every medium has its own strength and its own weakness. I mean, I cut my teeth on theater. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
most of the skills I learned that I've taken into film production or broadcast or even music production to an extent. It all comes back to theater.
Yeah.
So I can't ever walk away from it as much as I want to sometimes. But I couldn't ever. And live entertainment in general, I have a soft spot for.
Oh,
you know,
definitely.
there is definitely something special about performing to other people in the same room. You
It's
know?
charming.
It
Like
is.
in that moment, because you really are. That moment is unique
And it changes the way you tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
because you're telling it, and it's different every night. It's literally sometimes a different story, and it's live entertainment.
Yeah, there's something about live performance.
When it comes to live entertainment, I will say there's just a thrill. That's really just all it is. Because with a movie or with anything like that, it's very fun. I've actually never filmed anything.
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, besides, I did do Pep with Cater.
Oh,
Cater
that's very
Liriano,
true.
You know Cater Liriano?
I love Cater.
Yeah, he did. He wrote a web series episode, and we got to do it, and it was like really really fun. And I got to do it with Auberth and Allie, and it was a really interesting thing. It's much different. It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I know tech. Like for example, when you're doing a show, there is Tech Week, and that's hurry up and wait too, because you're waiting, you know, and they're fixing the lights, and it's just kind of like you say the first line, and then they get to the end, so they can get the light cues, you know. So I do love that. I mean, I will say that's my favorite part.
Well, I think with a show and like the thing with movies and TVs is that I feel like it's all that that's what you're gonna expect every single day is we're gonna rehearse, we're gonna hurry up and wait.
Well, I mean, the way I describe it to people, particularly people coming from theater, making that transition, and there's been a lot with the pandemic, is that being on a film set is like Tech Week, but it's much more collaborative. In other words, you have directors and actors making decisions on set, and you can play a little bit more, I think,
I got
because you're not rehearsing for opening night. Your goal there is to get the shot. So it can be sort of the tedium of Tech Week, but within that, there's a little bit more creativity and free form.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a lot of hurry up and wait because you're on a schedule and things got to get done. But you do have a little bit more leeway, I think, in the artistry of it. Whereas Tech Week is more of a practical, at least for performers, I know it's more of a practical evil as opposed to an expressive one. But
you have different takes. You can do. You have different chances to do it again. Right? Like.
Yeah, and they're all valid up until post production, and then the director has to make a choice. But you can do things like you can say a line 4 different ways, and they're all correct choices. You know, and it all boils down to how the director feels about that scene in post production. But you have a little bit more room to play. Yeah. I think in film than you would in theater, for example.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say that theater, I mean, like how we were talking about, I mean, live theater having the soft spot for that, it's like, they got to do it that time, like that. Like, you know, it's hard to make mistakes. And, it's not that you want it to be perfect, but you want to hit all the things.
Yeah, you want to tell the intent of the story as it's going to be.
Yeah. Which can be lost sometimes. Poor guy. But it's true. And I feel like with theater, the intent can be sometimes lost not because of the audience, but it's just because the audience is different every time. So there could be a time where you get a crappy audience and some of the audience was really interested in seeing the show, but you might not give it your full performance because that one crappy audience ruined your mood. So now that ruined the whole show, and that one or
you're doing 2 shows a day and you're exhausted by the evening one. Or dude, rock. This was a long time ago, but I think I was like 17, 18. I was a front of house mixer. Roxy was doing Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. And they were doing an evening show and then a midnight show. And those were killer.
What?
And that's a very high energy show.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
So people would be done like at 3, 4 in the morning.
Oh yeah, dude. It was a party. And you know what? Like it's funny because like at the time that was an extreme. And then going forward, like I had never done anything like that since. But then funny enough, going onto a film set, I've done stuff like I did a music video / live thing with Carlos Vives. And dude, that set, I didn't leave that set till 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I had showed up like I think at 4 p.m. the day before.
Oh my God.
And we were there till like 8 a.m. the next day.
What is music video set life like compared to TV show, movie set life like?
It depends on the artist for sure. Some are more chill than others. There are some where there's paraphernalia, and there are some where it's very much the stereotypical what you would expect from a music video.
Wow.
And there's more where it's much more chill. The artist is much more approachable than you think. It's fun. It's fun working with people that you've only ever seen through media and then working with them because it's like, oh, you're not like that at all. Yeah. Or it's like, you're exactly what I thought you'd be like.
Maybe a little worse.
Yeah. Erin always hopes for that. Every time she sees somebody who, we really admire, she's like, oh, I hope they're nice.
Yeah, like genuinely. Like I hope like if when you, not necessarily like a fan, because that could happen too. You approach them, they're having a bad day, they had a bad show, they had a bad, or whatever. They're just not a good.
Especially
they don't want to talk.
They don't want a picture.
Man. Like it's okay. It's a lot. It's a lot of. Well, not Ruben. I mean, Ruben, he's used to it.
No, Ruben, please. He had a girl twerking on his face. He said, I don't.
One thing that is consistent with music videos, though, that I did notice is that they all are very fast paced. Like last year, I want to say around August, I was on set for a music video for Mike Towers. And it was, I think I spent 3 days on that shoot, and they had shot 2 different music videos, and it was very just like, all right, guys, we have this house rented. Of course, it's like this beautiful mansion. But as soon as that last take was cut, it was like, all right, guys, let's pack up, let's reset the house and go to the next location.
Oh.
And that I was like, next location?
Oh.
This is tight.
It's midnight. What do you mean next location?
How many locations are there in a music video?
It depends on the music video. So like some of them we did entirely in a studio. This other one was like in a mansion, and then a location was like 10 miles away at a farm. Like.
And do music videos usually take 1 day to shoot, 2 days, multiple days? Is there?
Again, it depends on the music video and what kind of shots you need. Normally it's organized by location.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
true. Yeah.
like if you're doing it like for the Mike Towers one, if I remember correctly, I think we shot one video in 1 day, but it was 2 locations that were within miles of each other.
Oh.
The next day, I think it was all stuff at the studio, which was actually in Miami Springs, not too far from here.
Okay.
And where else did we go? We went somewhere else. I don't remember. But yeah, you would normally chunk it up by location, I imagine. But every production's a little bit different.
Have you ever been offered any of external substances while on these music videos, either before or after?
No, I was never cool enough for that.
No.
I was never...
Don't ask that kid. Weird.
But...
I would ask you, maybe. I don't know.
What about a high five? Anybody?
You know... Carlos Vives didn't pay me any mind. That man knows how to party, by the way. But yeah, no, like my mom used to listen to him like on cassette and stuff like that. So like I was expecting, you know, this like middle-aged man plays his songs, whatever. No, he knows how to party. He knows how to get down.
You friends like that? Ooh.
No.
No.
I mean, that's what I tell people.
What is the most celebrity number you have on your phone? That was the only way
Through Ruben, funny enough, I actually recorded a voiceover for Emiliano Diaz, the grandfather from George Lopez, and so I have his number.
Okay, that's pretty nice. My dad always used to, every time I would watch George Lopez, he'd always just mention like, Cuban man. Like, yes.
Cuban man. Yeah.
That is one of you.
He's great. He's some of my favorite conversations I've had in the business were with him.
Damn.
Very insightful, a lot of good experiences and stories from working in TV and theater. He's another one that's done it all. He's done everything from theater to TV to movies to animation. So
Yeah. Do you sometimes forget to take off your shoes when you get home for a really long time? Does that make sense?
no, because I got really comfy slippers. Ooh. So.
Do you keep your slippers like next to your bed or right in front? Like, are you a shoes off when you enter the home kind of person?
No, I wish I was, but no one else in my house is, so it doesn't make sense for me to be.
Dude, that's my thing. No one else in my house is, but then I moved to Chicago where it's very much the norm. Then I feel like just in the north, like, hey, take off your shoes. And then when I think about it, I'm like, you make all the sense. Why would I?
Well, in the north, you got snow.
And gross things. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know about we got gross things too, but unless there's some northern gross things I don't know about. But
no, the northern gross things is like the snow that turns into sludge, that turns into arroz con mango. Yo no quiero arroz con mango. Yo quiero pastelito guayaba.
I will say though, the thickness of the snow, it's like the perfect consistency of a slushy you would like to drink, but the color really throws you off. And I'm assuming the taste as well. But I just want to let you know, when I would walk home from work or whatever, or go on the train, I would stare at all of those, like, and I'm like, wow, that one is really good. That one is like thick and frothy, like an icy, you know.
Imagine
like
that one with some blueberry syrup.
I'm drooling a little.
I've only ever seen snow once. In my life. It was in New York.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness! So you got there like yes, like that's hard.
Yeah, we went and well, a little over a year ago. A couple days ago was a year.
You went for funsies?
Yeah, it was a trip. It was magical for about 20 minutes.
The snow.
And then I hated my life.
Because of how cold?
It was cold. I slipped a lot.
I'm sorry.
I don't know how to negotiate snow whatsoever. The novelty definitely wore off.
Were you insulting the snow?
I was insulting everybody. I made it known that I was miserable and I was questioning everybody's life decision in New York.
So you're that kind of man.
Why are you
I am that bitter old hunched over man that curses at the birds in the park. Yes.
You're taking my bread.
No, the snow though, because it just makes you, it's not even the snow that makes me angry. It's sometimes the lack of sun and snow for long periods of time.
The wind for me is the worst part. It's crispy. Yeah. It's like, I feel like my eyelashes are burning off. Like they get so cold.
Yeah, there was one night that I had that I was like, oh my God, the wind was the worst thing ever. Because during the day it wasn't so bad. I was like, this is actually
super beautiful.
Kind of pleasant.
Lovely.
Yeah,
And you
like Central Park is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Like beautiful.
When you're in the snow, in the sun, it really does. Like whenever I'm in the snow and sun, I take off my jacket because I honestly feel nice. I'm like, this doesn't feel too bad. I like it right now. But then once the sun goes away, it's just sadness. Have you ever lived anywhere else besides Miami or just Miami?
Nope.
Just
Miami born and raised.
Heck yeah.
Love palm trees.
Is that why you stayed? Because of the palm trees?
Yeah,
really the only thing.
And the
The only thing
coconuts.
keeping me is the coconuts and the palm trees.
Because
I
the
mean,
water's very good. That's why.
Yeah,
his
we have native
face is
peacocks.
glowing, huh? Native peacocks, you said? We do.
we have
Yeah.
peacocks.
We do. And roosters.
I will say the peacocks made me late for school. The roosters not as much, but like they were pretty fun. They were always next to school, so it would be, and it was always random to see them in
peacocks
downtown
are always
Miami.
in the most residential areas. It's like, how did you find your way here?
downtown.
Like,
Yeah. Did
like,
you?
what?
Can they fly? No, they can't fly.
No, that's what I always think. I'm like,
the other
somebody
guys-
literally puts them in a bed in a
they
van.
waddled down to my neighborhood. Like, what are you doing here? Like, how do you cross the street?
Well, I
Because I've
haven't-
never seen a dead peacock.
No,
I've never seen roadkill peacock.
Unless,
Oh,
unless they eat.
It wasn't
their-
roadkill peacock, but my friend actually sent me a picture of a peacock that died in his backyard
Aw.
because
so
he lives
sad.
by that peacock area. But he'd never seen a dead peacock before because it's such a big, beautiful animal, and you're like, they don't die. But
Bye.
That means that peacock chose your friend.
Today
What's
was
the
the
next
day.
step?
That peacock's been watching, and he's the chosen one.
Ooh, kiss today goodbye, huh?
Who knows? Maybe he'll become a superhero, and he'll be like
Peacock man.
Peacock Man. Then instead
Fear
of
my
web slinging,
cock.
he'll just have a really nice froth of feathers, and he'll be really good at attracting mates.
That's what they use the feathers for, right? I always thought it was for, like, they would get upset. What is it? For defense. But it's not for defense. It's more for offense. You want them to come in.
I think so. It's funny because it's the males that are the pretty colorful ones. Like female peacocks look like
No.
ducks.
I don't know
Like,
what you're talking
What
about
do you
because
mean?
have you seen those 3 little pelitos on the top of their head? Those 3 little puff balls. I could
those
kiss.
females or
I could
males?
kiss those 3. Don't the females have it too?
Do they? I think so. But I know the females are like more like a brown, and they're smaller.
Yes.
Why?
It's their personalities are the feathers. that is the big, show.
Oh, no, I thought you were saying it's the females' personalities that help them out. Because, the males look so good, but the females, they have a good
The
personality.
females are the ones that pay for dinner in the peacock, in the peacock community.
Gets a free
Yeah.
dessert, maybe.
Get some free
peacock
dessert.
is a peacock, you know?
It's like a thing in the animal kingdom in general. I think like the males generally are like the
Get the-
more decorated ones.
Except zebras.
Zebras are all just.
I know
kinda-
with
none of
seahorses.
No stripes are the same. Oh, and seahorses. I mean, the male has the babies, like Cosmo. In,
with
Yeah.
Poof. I loved Poof, and at first I didn't enjoy because then there was a dog that came into Fairly Odd Parents. I'm like, okay, you've done too much. You've lost me.
Stop watching that.
But what is your favorite Nickelodeon? Not Nickelodeon. Forget that place. But if it's Nickelodeon, it's okay. But what's your favorite cartoon that you grew up with?
Ed and Eddie, I think he said.
Oh, he did say it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think growing up, that's the one that I was always like, I'm sitting down to watch this,
Because why? Even though I love Ed and Eddie.
I asked myself that. I'm like, why was this my favorite show? And I still love it. I can still watch it and be like, this is gold. I'm
no, I
having a
literally
grand
still
old
want a
time.
jawbreaker. I don't care what anybody says.
I would get jawbreakers all the time, and I'd put them on the side of my cheek, and I'd
Tried
do
to.
that thing like a.
like Kevin. Kevin would hook them up. He
Yeah.
would always-
I also love saying butter toast.
the Canker sisters are
The
really
Canker Sisters.
Because of the name, because it's like canker sores, like the stuff in your mouth. Yeah, I found that out recently.
Very true. Would you ever consider making a cartoon yourself?
That is one of my dreams is to do an animated
Whoa.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
would definitely love to. I mean, I can't draw to save my life, so I would definitely need to get involved with some animators. But yeah, I would love to do an animated series. One thing I wanted to do for a long time was I've always wanted to do something very Miami centric, and potentially anime inspired. Funny enough.
I mean,
but-
should we just? Oh, really? Should we just try and make it up right now? What would be the main character for this anime?
Ruben Rabasa.
Oh yeah.
I could. Wow, a little animated Ruben. Wait, is this still an animated show or is this live?
No, this is an animated
Okay,
show
great,
now.
great. I would love a little animated Ruben.
Which Ruben
Rabasa.
did do animation. He was the Spanish voice for Duckman.
Duckman. Who's Duckman?
I don't know, but I know that ducks are really funny every time.
And Ruben Ravassa.
Is really, really
First of all, don't say ducks are really funny every time because ducks are aggressive, and when they start chasing you, that's not fun.
I've never been
Yeah.
chased by one, but they don't let me cross the street.
We
in
got
my
we got a
house.
duck problem in my neighborhood for sure. They
Yeah.
run the streets. They run the streets.
Have you ever played the Aristocrats song when the
To the ducks? Like-
they walk at the same exact beat. That was a pastime I loved to do in college. Me and Abby and Kevin, we would go in my neighborhood, but they would drop me off or whatever, and they cross the street. They take their time because they're like, oh, you want to keep driving? Wait, I have me, my 1,000 children, and I have 6 other of my brothers and sisters. Come on down. So they take their time. You play the music really loud, I promise you, they walk to the same exact beat as that song.
This is a conspiracy. Something's
Yeah,
going
no,
down
no.
with the ducks, man. They know something we don't for sure.
I feel like we need to test that out.
Somebody get Alex Jones on the phone right now.
Please.
I need this confirmed.
Dial him up.
Just that, I don't know if it's true, but it would happen almost every time when we would play it. You could ask Abby, you could ask Kevin. It was really wonderful.
Would you just go out looking for ducks?
No, they would drive me home, or we would
Oh,
drive
you
out
just
my
happened to find
neighborhood,
a
and then they would be like, there's ducks, everybody stop, and then we'd get the thing, and someone would start filming, and then we would do it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to run into ducks, at least in South Florida.
I live right
They're
next to a
everywhere, bro.
canal, so
literally-
yes. Since I was little, there's this talk of this alligator, this specific alligator, and there's
So it's one individual we're talking about. It's
only,
just okay.
Only one.
Has a
Only
name?
one. No, no one's ever named it. And I don't know if people fish around your canal, but
Yes, they do. They
and
absolutely do.
I have a question. Do they balance on that one little rock so well? Because that's what I've noticed. Because they don't stay on the grass part. They always they try to go as close as possible.
You're talking about like the fishermen?
Yes. Yeah. So really, you know what? There was some snakes there too. You know what? Wow. I kind of lost my train of thought.
Snakes I haven't seen, but iguanas we have a lot of too.
The
We have
alligator.
some when they fall. Oh my god. Oh,
When it gets too cold, because their bodies are literally like, well, too hot blooded for this. So I'm just gonna fall off this tree now.
but the two fishermen, they never caught. I don't think they ever caught anything. I would always see them, and they would never be tugging at anything. Well, I know. Well, fishing is you have to be very patient. That's another hurry up and wait, but you got to wait for something.
Yeah,
to
that's
bite.
just a wait for wait.
Yes,
Well, you know what? It's not always about the destination. Sometimes it's
the journey.
sometimes the biggest fish we catch are the friends we made along the way.
Oh,
Get out of here.
I don't fish.
Andy Griffith would
You could tell.
appreciate that. Andy Griffith would think so. He'd say, "Wow, that's a man that
Do you
knows
like
how to
Andy
fish." No. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now of Andy Griffith.
I would have
He's-
never guessed.
He's my husband, and that's all. He
Yeah.
died in 2012,
We just have to tell him that. It's a little late now, but
but he doesn't know it yet.
the email says pending. He hasn't received it, but we did.
Yes.
We did try.
Yes.
Do you have a celebrity person that you like? Who's your hall pass celebrity person?
Hall passes and like
I mean, hall pass
the
isn't really.
forever
that you're not
celebrity
gonna-
crush. Like
Or that
Like,
I
if
was
they-
thinking like the person that like you're gonna go like you're gonna squeal. You're gonna go.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
and like, if you could, you would marry them.
Ruben Rabasa. I don't know. Hey man, look, the man's got stability. That's a hard one, man. I think my first celebrity crush since I was a kid was always Laura Dern from Jurassic Park.
Oh, she's awesome.
Oh,
I was like,
that's hot.
I was like, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Laura Dern.
All right, that's good. I dig it. I feel like my celebrity crush. When I was a kid.
And obviously like Winona Ryder. Winona
Oh,
Ryder's another
yes.
go-to, but
Absolutely. I was always a Ryan person, whichever one. Reynolds, Gosling.
just pick him out of a hat. I'll take
Yeah,
anyone.
I just was always, I'm like, whichever Ryan, I like him.
Yeah. I don't know. The first one that came to mind, I can't think of a human right now, which doesn't help my case. But I just really think of Simba. Sorry, man.
So
I
you
can't
didn't even think of a human
No,
cartoon
I'm
either.
sorry,
You
'cause-
just couldn't think of any type of human.
I'm just thinking of Aberthay Kovu. Kovu is one of the most handsomest things I've ever seen.
Okay,
The brave little toaster was a favorite for many.
Wow.
leads me to my next question. What inanimate object would you like to marry?
The brave little toaster.
It's electrifying.
John Travolta. Inanimate object. That's a whole lot to choose from.
Delia Dazeem.
I love the generator where you can make your name sound like how he would say it. You never saw that?
No.
Mine was like Lorenz Estavi. I'm like, yes, Lorenz. It was a good time. I actually did want to ask you a question about what is your pre-production ritual for any project you have?
We asked.
The pre-production process, again, it depends on the project, but normally the very first thing I do, if it's something like MCM is doing, like if it's a project we're doing, is I always do a summary write-up / elevator pitch, even if it's not being pitched to anybody. That way I have in writing exactly what it is we're doing. That way I can explain it to anybody and they can understand what the project is. Just a brief plot synopsis, a general outline for how we plan on doing production. So how many days of shooting, who do we need to hire out? Who is this partnered with?
And you do that all yourself, right? That's mainly
More or
kinda
less,
all
yeah,
you.
mostly me.
And then whoever you're working with gives you some information, and you just kind of
Right, or so that's for example, with Karen, that's something we sat down and wrote out together.
Okay. Same.
But yeah, just the basic, what is the project we're working on? How are we planning on producing it? And how are we planning on releasing it?
Okay.
And then from there, we talk about logistics, we talk about budget, we talk about every detail you would need in order to do it, and then we start scheduling.
Yeah.
And we make it a point to take really good notes and make sure we have everything written down, and making sure that everything is that way, making sure there's no confusion. That way, if for some reason I get shot or abducted by aliens, somebody else could pick up the production and not have any trouble picking up where we left off.
Okay.
So
I mean, yeah, very nice. That's very that. I love stage managing, and that's basically what I was always told as a stage manager is if you're in a car accident right now and you cannot come to the show, you need to make sure that that book can be read by anybody and anything to press those buttons and do those things. So pre-production and like really paying attention and being specific is very important, and something I admire. You are very specific and you're very thorough. And I admire that about you very much. So kudos to you, my friend. What is your
it makes your life easier.
That's
It goes and it makes your life easier for production. So
not figuring it out on the spot.
Definitely.
What is your favorite part of the production? Is it pre, post, during?
I was just about to ask that.
No, thank God.
Again, it depends on what we're doing. Like I like editing. I like post-production. But for example, with talking shots, God, I hate post-production. Like I've gotten, because I've done almost 60 episodes or something like that.
It's been 4 years now, yeah?
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years of on and off doing it. But
4 years.
But yeah, so that's kind of gotten into its formula, and I think I've optimized that process as much as I could. Talking shots, I think it's most fun when I'm filming it, and even then, it very much is just like, because now I do it on my own, So now it is just like kind of a job. So it's still fun to do, but it's not like what it used to be, where filming it was fun because you were in a room with other people, and
You were just shooting the stuff.
Yeah, like we're doing one of the last videos we shot, I did on like Gundam Wing, which is like anime from the 90s, and I kept saying Gundam.
Gundam style?
Yeah, and
Sorry.
Iro, who formerly was Kevin, was just roasting me and laughing his ass off because I couldn't speak.
But that's always the worst when you mispronounce a name. My name would get mispronounced when I would do track and field, and I would never understand because I feel like my name is so phonetic when you read it.
Lorena?
Yeah, that was pretty.
Who fucks that up?
Lauren,
Lorena.
Lorena, what is a nickname?
Yeah,
Oh, actually,
go. No, what is it? Is there a nickname that when you were doing production or when you were doing filming or anything like that they gave you a nickname that you liked or didn't like, or?
Not really. I mean, people just call me Michael. Very professional, very bland.
No, Mike.
Some people who are close, Mike sometimes, but nothing crazy. Some people close to me call me Mikey.
Mikey? Okay. What's a nickname that you always wanted people to call you, though?
Something hard. I don't know. Some like Blackbird. I don't know. It's one nickname that people are like intimidated. It's like, oh,
The blackbird's coming and,
Blackbird's
he's,
coming.
Did you
and he
ever
sings
try
at
and
the
make
dead
it
of
happen
night.
or no?
no.
Is there a nickname you ever tried to make happen?
Well, Mike Dangerous. I mean, Mike Dangerous was something in high school that like the joke is I was not the fiend that I am now back then. So like whenever I would go to a party or whatever and stay out a little late, it was like, oh, Mike Dangerous over here. And so
Oh, God.
kind of stuck.
You know?
And now I do
works.
Coke. So there's
Yeah,
that.
it's fine.
Coca-Cola, which is very good.
No, okay.
It's good for your body. Yeah.
He's going down these slopes, baby. He's going fast.
You live in Chicago? Oh, there's no slopes in Chicago. Never
You
mind.
can find them.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah. What helps you keep going?
Coke. No.
Me too.
I can't do anything else. Like I can't see myself doing anything that's not working in the arts. You know, I mean, like I said, I've done this since I was like 4. So like for me to work in any other field, I really can't. One, I would suck at it. Like I'm not good at anything, dude. Like all of my talents are very much mitigated to working in production and media production. But
I beg to differ, but okay.
Yeah, and you write really well. I don't know. I don't know because you talk
you.
so well. I don't know.
He's also just he's a very professional man, I will say. Very, like, he's so on top of it. And then I look at him, I'm like, aren't we like kind of the same age? Jesus Christ. Really need to start picking it up. If there was another job, I know you just said that you could not do any other job. But if there was one, what would it be?
God, you're gonna hate this answer, but it's like, and it's something now that I kind of regret not doing more of. But it's like I was telling Teresa the other day, it's like if I could do anything besides work in theater, I'd be a race car driver, dude.
Really?
Yep, I'd totally get into motorsport. Like one of my biggest regrets is not getting more into motorsport when I was younger.
Why a race car driver?
I don't like sports. I really don't. I'm not an athletic person at all. But one thing that I really enjoyed doing, it's funny enough, it has something to do with a YouTube channel I used to run called Miami Rice, and it was about car culture and like Miami's sort of slice of the car community and all that. And through that, we would go to a lot of like motorsports events and stuff like that. And I don't know, I always wanted to partake more into that world, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because 2020, I was like, right now I'm restoring / building a 93 Mazda RX-7 for those that know and or care. In 2020, I was supposed to, I had a bunch of days lined up to go get a competition license, and then COVID happened and crushed those dreams.
Oh,
and
so
I'm
you
not
were
getting any
ready.
younger.
That's your
So,
favorite car, right? That one?
Yeah.
Are you a car man? I mean, I know you are because I think I heard Therese asked you. Therese, that was a weird name of saying it. Trees. Trees asked you, oh, what was that car? And it was like an engine revving, and you knew exactly which one. Where did that love start, and how did it grow to you knowing what it is?
Funny enough, it happened because of theater, of all things. Like, when I started working at Actors Playhouse, that was my first like real paid gig that wasn't, you know, crumbs when you're doing community theater work. And for the first time ever, I could save money for something. And, you know, when you're young and you're 18, 19 years old, you know, the first real piece of property you can own is a car. You know, like something tangible that the government can seize, like an actual piece of property for most people is their car. And all my friends at the time, you know, they were getting their first cars and they were getting into like sports cars and stuff like that. And we were all watching this anime called Initial D. Which, of course, it always comes back to anime. So we were all getting, you know, really into specifically nostalgic Japanese sports cars, because that's what was popular like in the 90s and early 2000s. In other words, when we were kids. And you see it in pop culture like Fast and Furious, Initial D, like the games that we played. So now these cars that we grew up with in media were now attainable. So
you were like, absolutely, I'm getting it.
yeah, and it was a cool community too to be a part of. Funny enough, like the first 2 friends I made at a car meet that we were throwing at Miami Subs. Yeah.
He loves Miami Subs. I do too. Just saying.
Miami Subs is delicious.
I
Who
was almost
doesn't?
sponsored by them, dude. We almost had
please.
we almost had a relationship.
Oh man.
You know,
Sponsor
how
us if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, of course.
But yeah, no, the first two people, like my first two real car friends, were theater students at UM. I'm sorry, at Miami-Dade. Funny enough.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I don't have a boat. I wish I did, but I don't. That's like a goal of mine.
A
Do you guys
boat?
have any weird goals?
A jet plane. I have literally always wanted to own a plane.
To have like a private.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like my own plane. Like where I'm just like, oh, do you want to go there? Okay, yeah. Let me call my pilot, and then
That's the thing. Like, I'm not even trying to be like rich. I just feel like if you own a boat, you've made it. You know,
It's
That
not,
is-
like-
yeah.
It's pretty
Does that make
nice.
sense?
Like at any
Like-
time, like literally, it's like, oh, honey, let's just go out this weekend. Let's go on the boat. The weather's beautiful. And we live
Yeah.
in Miami, so it's right there.
yeah, they have that Duffy's. I think it's in Fort Lauderdale that has like a dock that you can literally pull up on your boat, park it. You don't park a boat, but you know what I'm saying. You get off and have Duffy's, like the sports grill,
Oh,
and get on
I
your
mean, I
boat and
went
just keep
to-
going. Like,
Yeah.
We went to LaSalle, which had a bay in the back of it, and Key Biscayne is like right next to it. And we had people that I only saw it once. I hardly ever saw it, but when I did see it, I'm like, wow, so this clearly happens. They brought up their boat, they pulled it up, and they got off for school. Like their parents dropped them off for school.
oh, is that a Terra? Was that the school that's on Key Biscayne?
No,
LaSalle.
But
Immaculata LaSalle?
Immaculata LaSalle.
Next to
it's
the
on
Ermita, it's
South
a
Bay.
big church.
Do you know Mercy Hospital?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, right next to Mercy Hospital and La Ermita.
Can you imagine your parents dropping you off on a boat
Exactly. No, I
or
can't.
in a boat? Like,
That's insane.
Like,
dude, I walked to school. Like,
could you imagine
in the
getting
rain.
dropped off from the boat and your book bag just falling in the bay? I don't know.
How do
like,
you
just-
explain that to the teacher? Like, no, the dog didn't eat it. It was actually the ocean. Like, okay, so the last question that we have for you is you've been doing this, you said, like, the technology aspect for over 10 years? Let me ask that question again. Let me ask again. But I wanted to ask, like, what is advice you wish someone told you or that you knew, like when you started?
advice I wish I had would be know your worth and know what the going rates are, in your field. Because especially when you're working in any medium at a local level, one, you don't have any protection of unions. And two, people are going to take advantage of cheap labor as best they can. And it's okay to say no to something that is not within your price range. That's advice I wish I would have had, but I think a good piece of general advice is understand your craft top to bottom as best you can. You know, like I remember Greg Wiener had mentioned, having a second stream of income and as an actor, always having something else. I think that that's something else should always be something in your field. Like I'm not saying every actor needs to learn welding, but, pick up carpentry or pick up lighting or pick up audio or pick up production or pick up, something to help you better understand the process as a whole. Because the way I see it is every minute you spend away from your craft is a minute wasted. So
I agree.
I agree. Just learn everything. I mean, there's so much more to do.
yeah.
Yes.
And you don't have to be the best. You don't. But as long as
That's not what it's about. Yeah.
as long as you know what the craft is like and what other people's jobs are like, more or less, then it makes you a better, whatever it is, actor,
Yeah.
director, engineer, whatever it is.
You also get better as you keep on going, just naturally. Like
Yeah.
the more you do the same thing, you're just gonna get better at that thing.
You learn from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Michael,
beautiful.
Julian, it's been fun talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course.
Had
Is
a
there
great
any
time.
Magic City media stuff you're working on currently? What any exciting stuff happening?
There's some things in the works that I can't talk about.
Okay.
That's so
Where there's some things cooking. But yeah, just mostly talking shots, mostly working with the wonderful Scene Pena podcast, and some other clientele, which again can't say too much about because it's not out yet. But
It's okay. Keep us
But
on
yeah.
our toes. I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Also joining our team. I mean, wow, you're like
Helping, yeah.
Yeah,
helping us.
I
Or
wanna
not
say-
helping. That was a bad word.
you're the
We're not
glue.
helping.
The glue, maybe. No,
Collaborating.
Yes,
Or-
yes. Like we were three, and it's like triangle, and then we became a square because of you.
Well, and we also just learned a lot from you because your pre-production routine, and you really are just so diligent with what you do and doing it well with a lot of, ¿cómo se llama eso? Specifics. You're a very specific man, which has really made our pre-production fly because now it's like we know what we're doing. We know kind of what more we want. It's easier to change when you kind of already know what you're changing or what you want to change. And a lot of it was learned by watching and seeing your stuff. Like
Thank you.
Your Google Drive.
no, and for me personally, a lot of it was just again working in at the regional and the community level, and just seeing the headaches and the nightmares that people go through at that stage sometimes, and not wanting to replicate that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, my first professional, like regional show, was a Ragtime, which is a 40-person cast, and I was the A2, so I was backstage, preparing mics when they broke. So
Oh, yes, that's right. Oh my gosh, I do remember that story. It was steaming. It was hot. It was.
it was an absolute nightmare. Everything was broken all of the time. Actors were not having it.
I mean, yeah. But what can you do when there's 40 people in a cast? And I bet there were many people sharing microphones and swapping this and going here.
No,
and
we
going
didn't. Everyone had a pack.
Right?
We had 40 microphones.
Oh, so I can imagine like that's a lot of noise at once, like a lot of
That's a
That's
lot
how
to
you
take.
should do it. I mean,
Wow.
the whole like sharing mics things is like a community theater. Like we have
Hi,
what we got,
Community
but
Theater, how are you?
well, I mean, because I'd done that at Roxy where I've done shows where I did Avenue Q Roxy, and I think when we did it there, I think there were points where I'd have to pass my pack to somebody else.
Yeah,
No.
there's always that part, and it's always like when you're the person getting the pack pass too, and it's sweaty.
Oh yeah, it's the
Even though
worst.
part
It's
of me,
the
I'm
worst.
like, you have your own little sock
You
to
can't
put it in,
even-
but still, like it's like there's residual sweat.
Well,
from
within
their
that, you
sock.
learn, you do stuff like that, and you learn, once you handle it, and you're like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever dealt with. Then you learn a little bit. It's like, okay, well, a good maintenance thing is you wrap the mic in a condom. That keeps all the moisture out. You tie it at the end. And then you notice that the cable breaks at the connector. So what do? You make yourself a little loop. You tape the loop. There you go. There's no stress on the connector anymore. So it's those little community theater dinky moments that make you a better engineer when you're doing the 40-person show.
Michael, I was gonna say Miguel, but no, Michael Julian. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And
It has been. Thank you guys very much.
do you have any other last little sin pena remarks you would like to share with the people?
The class.
No, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. If anybody out there has the itch to make anything, movies, theater, music, do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And if it sucks, it's okay because you're gonna learn from it. It's okay to make garbage, just so long as you learn from that garbage.
Yeah.
I also had a teacher that used to say, Michael McKeever, he's like, if it sucks, or like it's okay to suck because it probably doesn't. Because that sometimes is the truth too, where like sometimes your mind will make you think that,
It really does suck, and then you look back and you're like,
and
Yeah.
then you
What?
finally
This is
do
pretty
it,
good.
and there's always gonna be, even if it does necessarily, like it's not the best, it will never really suck. Like,
I've noticed there's a lot of truth to if it's made in earnest and you're genuine about it and you love it, that shows.
yeah.
There's been times where, well, look, the best example is the movie The Room by Tommy Wiseau. Like he wrote that movie with the intention of it winning Oscar. Like he thought it was a masterpiece, and like
I mean,
it's turned into something completely different. And Tommy Wiseau was like, yeah, it's a comedy movie. I wrote it like that. And it's like, no, you didn't, Tommy. But
yeah.
but
you learn to live with it.
He learns to live with it, and he loves it regardless. He doesn't hate his own movie now, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
you look back, you did it. You,
And also
you
like
made the movie.
realizing, like, wait, because he accepted himself. And it's like, all right, you know what? It is a comedy movie. Like, probably too. Have you ever seen Entourage?
Yes,
I
the
love
TV show Entourage.
Yes, I love Entourage. And there's the character drama. I love him because it's like he really wants to be this one thing, but at the end of it, he's really good at the one thing he doesn't want to do. But it's because, you know, sometimes you might not like it.
Life
but
be
that's
like
what
that. Well, look, even when you're doing something and it's amazing, I guarantee you, like, you will never, as an artist, start something and it will turn out exactly the way you want. You're always going to have to develop and compromise and work. And sometimes, actually more often than not, the work is better off for it. So
Yeah.
enjoy the ride.
You got to embrace it.
Embrace it, enjoy the ride, and trust your collaborators.
Absolutely.
Unless they owe you money.
Well, true. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, Michael Julian.
Yes.
It's been a hoot and a holler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until the next time.
Until next time. Thank you guys again so much. It was a really good time.
Scene Pena is sponsored by Main Street Players. Make sure to visit their Instagram at Main Street Players.
You can also visit their website for any information on future events. And if you donate $25 or more, you will receive an I Make Theater Happen original t-shirt.
Your contribution to local theater companies helps to make theater happen.
Scene Pena is sponsored by Magic City Media.
For any video, audio, and streaming services, you can reach out to Magic City Media at magiccitymediaco.com for more information on how to book a session.
You can also follow them on Instagram at Magic City Media Co.
Thanks for listening and live
Scene Pena!